my interview with Cedric, and he's not afraid to share his emotions, and I think that's a great point. I called it going through the dad motions, but Cedric is going to share his story today about being a father and his experiences, and again, hopefully you are encouraged through this whole series of Fathers of Faith. Thank you. So I'm here with Cedric. I love that you're wearing one of the camp t-shirts. I've known Cedric for, long time, and just doing camps together. We've worked with a lot of other people's children. So, I'm really looking forward to hearing your perspective about being a dad as you're raising your kids, still here in the Bronx too, and, just doing the work, man. So share with us some highs and lows of fatherhood.
So what's up? My name is Cedric Hawkins. I am married to my wife Therese for 20 years. I have two children, Cedric, who's 14, and my daughter Charlize, who is just turned 11. My wife also and we have taken in someone just to try to help him out. His name is George. He is a senior in college this year, just finished up his senior year. I grew up in Alabama, Demopolis, Alabama, a small town. Didn't grow up knowing my dad, so I actually have two dads, and the guy who I thought was my father, and then finding out years later my actual father. So during this time, I never really got to know my father, really, and it wasn't until later I started to build. I remember, I'm gonna fast forward. I remember when I was 33 was the first time that I ever spent Father's Day with my father.
Wow.
And my son. Like, it was a moment that we had. We had a family reunion in Ohio, and I was 33 years old. And that was the first time that I ever spent Father's Day with him, knowing who he was, but I never got to know him. And it was crazy, James, that I walked like this guy, I talked like this guy, I dressed like this guy, but I didn't know the man.
Wow.
And so it helped me to change the narrative of who I was going to be as a father. So some years later, my son and we actually went to Denver on a father-son retreat. I remember we talked about that, and it was probably one of the most best things that I could have done, because we were in Denver, Colorado, up mile highs and out in the wilderness and stuff at a ranch, and it was just other fathers just there with their sons, black, white, but everybody just wanted, it was a Christian thing, but everybody just wanted to be with their kid. And I still speak to those guys today. I remember a guy just telling me that one of his sons got baptized, and we like keep up with each other just by encouraging each other. But one of the things that happened to me when I was on that trip, my son and we took a walk, and we were given a challenge to ask some questions, to go spend some time. And my son asked me a question. He says, "Tell me about your dad." And I told him, I said, "I can't." And it's like, what I do know is that I started talking to him like he didn't know his father. And my son stopped me in the middle of that conversation. He was like, "But hold on, like, but why did he continue that cycle? Why did he continue that cycle of not getting to know you?" And I said, "That's why we're here today, because I don't want us to keep writing the same cycle over and over and over." And it's been an uphill battle. I think I could be a smotherer, because I don't want to. I never want to hear the words of my son never telling me that I wasn't in his life. Even going down, and James, we just talked about this not too long ago, but even going down to the point of I did not want them to call me dad. Yeah. Because to me, dad was, anybody could be a dad, right? But it takes a real man to be a father to their children. So as my wife was pregnant with my son Cedric, I said, you know what, I want my kids to call me Papa, right? I always saw Papa as an endearing term, and I was like, hey, I could be called Papa. They do it in other countries. I want to be called Papa. So when they call me Papa, I feel really loved, because it's a distinction from my dad. From my quote unquote biological father, and the guy who I thought was my father as well too. Fast forward, just last night, just the other day, I just wanted to talk to my dad. My dad and we built our friendship.
Nice.
I talked to my dad. I've had challenging conversations with him about why he wasn't in my life, and I kept it 100. I remember going to see my grandmother's funeral, and I grabbed a 2 hour, 2, 3 hours just to talk, and I just read him some stuff that was on my heart, and his response was, "Send me that." And he
Hmm.
got a chance to reflect on it, and then he called me later when I was back in New York, and we talked about it more and more and more. And so that's what I've been trying to do. So I've been trying to just build with my father, my own father, and just so that I can just be the best father I can be. I want my kids to know their dad, like to know their grandfather. I see people and they talk often about my grandfather, this and that, and legacies and this and that. I don't have that. I don't have any of that. I don't have a rich dad. So teaching my son the value of money, teaching him the value of respecting somebody. Like I said, I grew up in Alabama, James, and it was tough. It was tough, man. Like especially with the world going on today. Um, I just needed help. So I definitely had role models who people that that took me in and loved me. People like Troy Figueroa, Buzz Benedega, Don Hanson from Rockland Ministry, from Hudson Valley rather. Just people that just love me throughout. I can just go on, just keep
Yeah.
going. And I've shared to you about, you saw me crying one day just talking about
Mm,
Don Hanson.
mm.
We were at church service, and every time I see the Hansons, Don and Sissy Hanson, every time I see them, I cry because the love and the gratitude that they've showed me when I was a single young man. Um, they took me in. Don lived a half an hour from me in
Mm.
Franklin Lakes. I lived in Spring Valley. He would drive a half an hour to go and get me, drive a half an hour back to his house, and then he would drive 40 minutes to work. And I
Yeah.
worked at his house, and he did that all summer. And I just love them. I love this patience and stuff. I was just sharing that with somebody else. They're forever part of my story about teaching me how to be a father and a man.
Yeah. Yeah. This is good stuff. We can go on forever. And my kids were just telling me the other day, said, "Dad, I never seen you cry, Dad. You're about to
Mm,
make me cry over here." And I think that's who you are. You share your heart with, again, so many other people, and you've shared your heart too, to allow other people to influence you. And I think with this series, as I talk to other dads and hear their story, like, we can't rewrite the history's done. Where whatever our fathers did
yep,
for us, like, there's nothing that we can do about that. But
it's true.
rewriting that narrative and enjoying, like, you're the man who will take a trip all the way to Denver just to spend some time with your son. So I
Yep,
just hope these videos give people some other advice and inspiration, ideas of what they can do, because that's, again, in times like this, we're creating something new. So I just want to put out good news and good feelings for everybody, that there's a lot of great men like you out there. And we're gonna rewrite the next generation, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, these are all the stories I had with my dad. And
yeah,
and the prayer is that this is gonna change the whole world, not other things. We're gonna change it
yeah,
one family at a time. So thank you, sir.
yeah.
It was awesome. And we're probably gonna have to have a follow-up on this, because I know there's a lot more to the story.
Just a quick last point.
Yep.
Um, just during this times, Tuesday nights are our devotional times,
Yep.
and because of everything going on, we sat down and we prayed. Um, and during the prayer, my son, he prayed, and I saw how hurt he was doing as he prayed. My son is not expressive. If you know my son, he's not super
Yep.
expressive. But I felt the hurt as he was praying, and my wife prayed first, my son, my daughter, and then I prayed, and I was just crying while I was praying because I just knew that it hurt.
Yeah.
And take time to, it's okay that you can see that your kids can see you cry. They can see that things matter in this world. Just take time to be there for them, listen to them, spend time with them. I'm learning that. I mess up all the time, but I'm learning just being there and making it happen and making the time with God to just to focus and to pray, to spend time is there. Thanks, Jimmy, for your advice, your example, your crazy ideas, and just stuff like this, man. I appreciate you, man.